Good morning, Team Alabama. We are getting close to the end of the book, and our reading gets really good today. So open your Chromebooks to page 114, and don't you dare read this, Mrs. Dunfree. And the title on that page, we're going to start about midway down, and it's April the 20th again, really April 30th, very early. Okay, that's where we're going to start today. Do read this, Mrs. Dunfree. I've thought and thought and thought about all my problems. You'll know what I mean soon, and I decided the best thing I could do would be to give this journal to you, Mrs. Dunfree, and just have you read the whole thing. I mean it, everything, from start to finish. All the entries I'd marked, don't read. The reason I'm doing this is I realized I have to tell someone about Mom and Dad leaving us. I thought I could take care of everything myself, but I just can't. I'm too tired, I'm too hungry, and maybe I'm too stupid too. I don't know. I thought about telling maybe Sandy or Rochelle or Chastity's parents, someone like that, but I don't really know them. And Sandy and Rochelle and Chastity don't make them sound like very great people. Then I thought about all those people that you'd recommended, one of the counselors or something, but I don't trust them. Really, Mrs. Dunfree, you're the only adult that I could think of who seems even halfway decent. But the more I thought about it, the more I wondered if you'd really understand. I mean, no offense, but I was afraid you'd think that I made the whole thing to get out of turning in that research paper. I know I don't have the greatest reputation. And anyhow, I just couldn't figure out how I'd explain everything to you. And then I thought, everything's in this journal. You'd believe it because you can see that I've been handing it in all along, and because I don't know, I think things make sense the way I've written them down here, more sense than what I could explain in person. This is due tomorrow, today anyhow, and when I hand it in, I'm going to ask you to read it right away. I know you have a free period after our class, and then I'll come back and talk to you about everything. I know that you'll probably have to tell someone else, but please, can you make sure that Matt and I can stay together? I haven't done very well taking care of him lately. He's sick all the time, and he's wetting the bed, sometimes twice a night now. But I'm all he has since Grandma died and Mom and Dad left, and really he's all I have. Another thing, I didn't mean a lot of those bad things that I wrote about school. Well, maybe I did. But don't take it seriously. It's not your fault. School stinks. And the last thing, don't think too bad of Mom and Dad. They won't have to go to jail or anything for leaving us, will they? I mean, they really screwed up their lives, and Matt and mine's too. But maybe they didn't mean to. I can kind of see why Dad hits everybody, and I hit Sandy that one time. I wanted to hit Matt lots of times when he was whimpering and being a baby. And Mom, I don't know what's wrong with her, but it's like she can't think about anything but Dad. I don't think she's really a bad person. So anyhow, here this is. Can you help me? Tish. So here's the teacher's note after she's read her journal. Tish, I feel terrible that all this was happening in your life while I did nothing but nag you about that research paper. All year I've wanted you to break out of that tough shell that you wear and dazzle everyone. I never dreamed I should have been worrying about whether you had anything to eat. I'll be talking to you next period, but I wanted to put this in writing to help you believe me, just as you gave me your journal to help me believe you. I know you haven't been given many reasons to trust adults, but I hope it's not too late for you to start trusting someone now. I intend to be worthy of your trust. I wish I could promise that everything will be fine now. I can't, but I will try my best to help. You're right that I'll have to tell someone else. The law requires all teachers to report cases of child abuse and neglect to the Department of Children and Family Services. Your parents leaving certainly qualifies as neglect. I already talked to the DCFS about your situation without using your names. I don't think it's fair to make the official report without you. As I understand it, the DCFS generally sends kids in your situation to stay with relatives, family, friends, or a foster family. They try to keep siblings together. Ultimately, they will try to reunite you with your parents if that's possible. The man that I talked to said you shouldn't worry about them going to jail. The DCFS focus would be on educating your parents, not punishing them. I'm afraid you may not want to give the DCFS control over your life, but they will make sure that you have food and clothes and everything else you need. You will be free to be a 16-year-old. Instead of trying to make all of those adult decisions for yourself and Matt. Tish, you did the right thing, letting me read this. But you shouldn't feel that you failed in taking care of Matt. You took care of him in the best way that you knew how. In the end, that meant getting help. Mrs. Dunfree. Okay. In looking at September the 15th, so now it's several months later. So what happened to him after she told? So Tish starts to write this. September the 15th. Dear Mrs. Dunfree, I almost wrote, don't read this, by your name, just out of habit. But it'd be pretty stupid to send you a letter and not let you read it, right? Before you get too excited about me writing you, I should let you know this is an assignment, not for school. It's for the family therapist that Matt and Mom and me have to go see every week. That's right, Mom. I'll explain. The therapist, Mr. Sarkozy, is always talking about how healthy it is to examine our feelings. He says after everything that happened, I have every reason to feel conflicted. Conflicted is his word, not mine. It's a great word to add to your vocabulary, guys. Conflicted. He says teenagers tend to be conflicted anyhow. Thanks, Mr. Sarkozy. So he wanted me to write about myself and pretend that I was talking to someone who didn't know my whole life story. Well, I thought that was dumb. I mean, I did that all last year, but I haven't written anything since April. And you keep sending me letters saying, please write back. Well, here this is. Thanks for letting me and Matt sleep on your couch and floor for those 3 days when the caseworker couldn't find a foster family for both of us. I can't tell you how scared I was when she kept calling and calling and frowning and frowning. And when she said, there are a few more places I could call, but they're not entirely adequate. Adequate might be a word that you want to add to your vocab also. And in this situation, she says not entirely adequate would be not entirely okay. Adequate means okay enough. Okay, may not be good. Adequate's just minimal. Okay. I was ready to walk out and just run away with Matt. I was so happy when you said, can I take them home with me? And I must say you really stood your ground when she kept glaring at you and telling you that it wouldn't be appropriate. Even your husband was pretty cool about things, though I know he was afraid that you'd be stuck with us forever. You know, the caseworker decided to send us to the grandparents that we never met, Dad's mom and dad in Florida. And you know, I didn't think that was such a great idea. I figured, look, how he turned out. How could they be any good? And if they didn't want to see us for the past 15 years, why are they going to want us living with them now? I don't think I would have come if you hadn't have talked me into it. Just to let you know, you were right. The malls are bigger down here. And it's not bad living within walking distance of a beach. It turns out Nana and Poppy, my grandparents, aren't too bad either. They're both really little people, tiny and shrunken and old. They remind us of those Grandma and Grandpa cornhusk dolls that were always for sale every time the village mall had a craft show. But they don't sit around in rocking chairs or anything. They both go jogging every morning, and Nana asked me if I could show her how to dance like Michael Jackson. I didn't tell her he's really, really out. It must be hard to stay with it when you're 74. Nana and Poppy were already pretty old when Dad was born, and they think that's one of the reasons they waited too long to get worried about him. Dad killed the neighbor's dog when he was in grade school, and Poppy and Nana, though, well, they thought, well, that's awful, but it's been a long time since we were kids. Maybe that's just what kids do. So, then Dad got worse and worse and beating up other kids all the time and getting angry about everything. But he kept fooling them and doing something terrible and then being really charming. So they'd think, oh, he's all right. He'll outgrow that bad stuff. I asked Nana what they would have done if they'd known how bad he was going to turn out, and she said she's not really sure. Maybe that's why we kept thinking that he was okay, she told me. It's not like today when all you have to do is turn on the TV and there's some psychologist on some talk show telling you what to do. Nana says that when Dad and Mom got together, they thought that he would settle down. But he didn't. And when I was born, they tried coming around and bringing baby presents and volunteering to babysit and giving Dad money until they figured out that it wasn't going for diapers and formula. But when the money stopped, Dad said they were just meddling and told them he never wanted to see them again. Dad even punched Poppy in the nose. And then when Nana and Poppy moved to Florida, Dad hung up on them every time they called. So they gave up. Nana keeps apologizing to me, saying that they should have tried harder for my sake and Matt's. She keeps saying, we can't make up for the past 15 years, but we're here for you now. Okay, we're going to stop there. That's the top of page 121. And I'd like for you to put some facts down. So what do we know? Tish let Mrs. Dunphy read her journal. And then what happened after Mrs. Dunphy read the journal? Add a couple facts about what happened after she read the journal. Okay? And we are going to finish this up in the next episode. Have a great rest of your day, Mrs. Dunphy. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.